Chantal, I'm ready whenever you're ready. Hey, good morning, Greg. All right, we're going to get started in a minute or two. We're streaming this morning on YouTube. Okay. I want to say good morning to everyone. We have another minute or so, so I'm just going to let people show up. Boy, I wish they'd delay the jobs report a week so we could trade it next week. Here's a great way to start the day. Hong Kong man slashes wife to death, injures sons, and kills himself. Is that the way of today's world? California shootings, child shot. It's unbelievable. I'm coming for the guns. All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 10-Minute Trades Trading Room. Thursday claims. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember all trades we discuss are for educational purposes, and it is possible to lose money trading futures. Also, if you're watching a stream on YouTube or anywhere, keep in mind it is delayed, okay? Streams are delayed. A couple of seconds. All right, this morning, it's jobless claims trading all by itself, which happens occasionally, but not that often these days. Let me see if find a couple of videos where that's the case. More often than not, jobless claims trades with something else. So let's see, maybe in March we had a bunch. Let's see, March 11th. Was pretty much trading by itself, but I'm sure it was affected by the ECB rate announcement because we're trading gold, and gold is affected by rate announcements. And in fact, that's the rate announcement, 7:45 that day by the European, the ECB, European Central Bank. Now, what I've been experiencing on this particular trade is if you can try and be patient, it will often reward you. See, it hit the first target, and I'll bet you it goes through. Let's see if it goes through. See, it goes through. So patience would have been rewarded that day. Now, it's not going to work every time. Let's look at So that was March 11th. That's pretty recent. That qualifies as current markets. Just for fun, let's look at what happened when it traded with Philly Fed on March 18th. Philly Fed was really early that day, if I remember. Either early or late, I forget now. Let's watch just to see. This is not a valid test because if it trades with Philly Fed used to be a report that traded by itself at 10 o'clock. You got to go back about 2 or 3 years for that. But it was an impactful report in those days also. Now, see, Philly Fed came out really early. Or no, I take it back. Philly Fed came out first. Was it really early? Let's see. So we'll start. Yeah, it was out more than. Let's start 40 seconds early. Philly Fed was early that week. What's interesting is it didn't seem, let's see if it had an impact on the pricing. So Philly Fed, is it early? It's not out yet, not to the public anyway. Okay, Philly Fed comes out about 10 seconds early, it looks like. And it doesn't really impact the pricing. It's as if the market's waiting for the job numbers. So Philly Fed really did not have an effect. And the job numbers were late that day by a good 10 seconds. The news was negative. Gold went the wrong way. And I think I closed. Yeah, see, it filled us the wrong way. Nothing could have helped that particular trade because the bracket wasn't a question of a tiny change to the bracket would have helped, because it wouldn't have. It just didn't work that week. And it really was quite choppy. Quite choppy. Just did not work. Not much you can do when a report doesn't work through no fault of your own. There's nothing you can do when something doesn't work when it's not your fault. You know, it's frustrating if you rush, if you exit too soon. Those things are frustrating. And we all do that. You know, everybody does it. Everybody, we talk about this all the time in the room. Everybody has a trading disease. That's how I look at it. My trading disease is impatience. I just jump out too fast. That's my trading disease. Other people, you know, they don't pull the trigger. That's a trading disease, right? You just get so uncomfortable you can't make the trade. Other people stay in too long. That's a trading disease. Never get out. And then they watch a winner turn into a loser. So there's all sorts of things you need to work on, right? Now, Thursday claims last week were with final GDP. All right. I remember what happened. And you also had consumer spending. There were a fair amount of extra news reports, PCE prices, corporate profits, quarterly report. Those things have a minor effect, those small little reports. All right. So there was a fair amount of news. But my feeling was, if anything would affect the price, it would be the GDP. Even though it was final, which is the weakest data, you could have final, advanced, preliminary or final advanced flash GDP. All right. Everything was late last week. So it was really difficult to trade. Our bracket, too small. Probably we should add a couple of ticks to the bracket on a week when there's extra reports. Because that might have saved us from being entered in on the wrong side. Because you can see we got 2780. Almost at the top of the bracket. By adding a couple of ticks to our bracket, we might have avoided that fill and then might have gotten filled on the downside. So if there's a lot of extra reports, we might want to add a couple of ticks to the bracket for safety. Might make sense. Today, we're trading alone, so you figure you don't have to do that. March 4th, there was a report, non-farm productivity, which can have an effect. I believe that was revised data. I mean, if you want to be honest, folks, every report we're looking at is not filling well. It may be time to find another index for this report. It's not working. This trade is not working right now. I mean, I'm looking at every week, right? I'm looking at every week and I'm seeing nothing but losers. I mean, it fills long, reverses. All right. You had the report, the jobs number didn't even come out. That was last week. So, I mean, when I have this much trouble trying to find a winner, it sure makes me not want to trade the report. The last good winner, I think we have to go back more than a month. We looked at 3.4, we looked at 3.11, we looked at 3.25. So this actually is on my list of events to test for a better setup because I'm not real happy with it. 3.11. Yeah, Mike, you're saying let's look at 3.11 again. I think 3.11 was the last report that could have been good. I think I got out too early on 3.11. Yeah, I remember this one. I got out too early. It was one of those where the numbers came out on time and I was impatient, and it did follow through in the right direction. It did follow through in the right direction. It took time. See, I moved my targets and made them smaller, got out, and then it followed through. And it followed the news. All right. So I think my plan is going to be, if the news is late, I'm going to cancel the trade. In other words, I don't really want to play a guessing game. I don't mind if it's slow to fill, Mike, as long as the news is out and I have an idea if I'm filled on the correct side. In other words, if the news is good, gold should go down. If the news is bad, gold should go up. But you look at 311, and we looked at 318. Now you're saying that you had a winner with 318. Let me find 318. I could have sworn I had 318. Why don't I see it now? $318 was a strange one, though. That's the one where Philly Fed was early. Didn't affect the price. So that's 318. Later on today, I want to talk about yesterday's grain trade. So, Mike, I don't know how you made money on 318. It didn't even hit my target. Now let's see. Maybe if you stayed in, okay, maybe you stayed in very, very long. I'm watching. I suppose if you stayed in, yeah, if you stayed in very, very long, it eventually went your way. Let me read what you're saying, Mark. Here's the battle. If you get filled long today and the news is good, gold goes down, right? Well, so Mark, my question to you is, why is that any different if you get filled short? Why can't it turn into a trend trade if you're filled short? In other words, gold doesn't really have a trend today. You think the trend is up today? Starting at what time? So we're up a little bit at 20 o'clock, so like 10 o'clock. That would be 17 my time or 23 my time. So that would be like almost midnight my time. Let's look at like a 30-minute. Yeah, so if you look at the 30-minute chart, no doubt gold's trend is up today. This is yesterday, overnight. This is overnight. This is yesterday morning. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's a very good point. It's a very good point that if you get filled long, I think today the job numbers are going to be good. But you know what? Guessing is never works. Guessing never works. I don't want to guess. I mean, I think they'll be good because the market. I do. I think it was an early fill last week also, Mike. I absolutely remember it being an early fill and thinking that we should increase the bracket to 8 when it trades with extra news like GDP. That's what I was thinking also. We did get filled early. And it's also that the jobless numbers seem to be coming out a little bit slowly. And on top of that, gold's troublesome. Gold's troublesome to trade at times. It just is. Mark, you understand the issue for us is we have a method, and I have to trade that method. Otherwise, yeah, no, I mean that's fine. I totally get what you're saying. And I'm not saying that our method always works. The goal is to get a big enough offset, a big enough news difference between what's expected so that we at least hit our first target. I think our targets should come down. So, seeing how difficult and slow it's been moving, I'm going to shrink my targets today. I'm going to shrink targets a little bit and see if that helps. So, that's how I'm going to approach it today. If I don't get filled on time, or if the news doesn't get released properly, I don't know how patient I'll be because the report's been tough. The report's been tough. It's been tough, certainly been tough to trade. I mean, that's 100% tough to trade. But I'd like to discuss with everybody in the next trade rooms yesterday's grain trade. But I don't have time to do it now. Let's check our time. We check our time, as you know, by going to the website time.is. So I'm going to put my strategy on. Today, the bracket is 6 because it's trading alone. And I'm going to go for targets of 5 and 12. The stop is 12 because it's been struggling to find direction. Entry, in my opinion, 8:30. But I'm just being told what to do. Nope. When we test, if our testing says 8:30, I'll email the DMM maker and let them know. I think 59 is troublesome. I like to label the trade. All right, so I'm trading 1 for 5, 1 for 12. Trying to make it a little bit easier to grab some profit. Mike, that's funny. The Lee indicator, the impatient indicator. Hey, you can't hurt my feelings, dude. I am what I am, as Popeyes used to say. See, now we have an issue, and you can't deny this, that gold wants to test that high of the day. So that means I would rather see bad data, which would make gold go up, also would follow the trend, right? The trend is up today also. So I would rather see bad data today at this moment anyway. Because it fits. It fits the trend better right now. Right? Gold may test that high before we even get to the report. That's like a magnet, folks. That's a magnet trade. Long gold, 10 tick stop, test the high. $17.19.50. If you got in at 17.19.60-ish, you know, a 10 tick stop is probably not enough for gold. You probably need 18 to 20, especially in these markets. You really do. You need 18 to 20. But watch, it's going to test that high before we leave the room. One way or the other. I would bet anything on it. My gut feeling is it may do it before the trade, for the report. Just going to time.is one more time to sync. And then we'll be back here after this room. We've got one more room with a whole bunch of events. Final manufacturing, ISM, and natural gas. 9:30, we'll be here for 3 events. Low of the day is very far away. The high of the day is an issue. It's a magnet. See how close the ES got to it? Now, look, In all honesty, what I should have said was I would not do a discretionary trade 4 or 5 minutes before news. We're going to, I believe we'll test that high, but I would not try to test it right before a news report. How many ticks did that go down? 17, 19, 50 to 17. So that would have been more than 20 ticks. I got a minute to go. So gold makes a move up, slides it back down. Normally a 20-second cancel on this report. No news. Jobless numbers are negative. That's the trend we wanted. 20 seconds. It's a cancel. Official cancel. 20 seconds is what we do. No response. Very, very slow response. So now let's see if it moves up and tests the high, right? Is it going to move up and test the high? I mean, really, you have no response. Why? Very, very strange. This report has been really difficult. Mike, I realize you've made a few bucks on it over the past couple of weeks, but it doesn't change the fact it's been brutal to trade. So now, any move that you're going to get now has no relationship to the jobs report, okay? It might be a continuation of the gold trend. It might be an ES. Let's look at the video real quick. So you just don't have a trade this morning. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. It may move now. It may move now, and that's fine. I want to look at the ES in the recording. So hang loose. Let's see if we can learn something. I just have to render the video. It takes 1 second. So Thursday claims. I think that I want to take a break from this report until we find a better setup, because it's really not working the way a report should work for us. I don't need today's a virtual Friday. You know, Mike, that's an interesting point. Interesting point. So I understand what you mean. The markets are closed tomorrow. Markets are closed tomorrow. I mean, the jobs report comes out every Friday, Mike. We've been trading it for years. So for news reports, I don't think it matters. I really don't. I don't think this is a Friday issue. I think it's a report losing influence issue. Okay? That's what I think. Watch the ES. The news was negative. Was there an ES trade? That's what I want to know. Because we used to trade the ES on this. There's certainly not enough of a move for a trap trade. So when the news gets ready to come out, the ES is at 83.25. All right, 83.25. 83.50. Our orders are on the chart at 83.25. I'd have at least a 6-tick bracket with the ES. It's only gone one. You know, maybe a 5-tick bracket. So 83.25. 82 is your fill, roughly, right? 81.75 is a 6-tick bracket. Even the ES didn't really have much of a response late. It was late. Still would not have been filled on the ES, so we would have canceled the ES on this also. Okay. No trade on the ES. Now, Mark, you're saying just gold is just trending. Like I said, if I were trading gold, I would be trading it for a test of the high. 2 ticks away from that green line. And it's struggling. It's trying and reversing every time. But it's still trending up. You know, your lows, you have higher lows. Okay. Here you didn't. So, Mark, what did you do? You traded a breakout? Did you break out of a level? Or were you already in? Did you trade a breakout of a level? YouTube folks, Chantal, if you want to close it, I want to thank all of our YouTube folks for watching. We learn a lot. We don't always trade. We do trade plenty. We have rules. We follow them. If you like what you saw, give this video a like. Sign up for our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time we stream live. We stream live multiple times a week. So thanks, YouTube folks, for watching. I really